What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. So today we're doing another edition of What Would Josh Play If He Was Going to Regionals Tomorrow? And some of these decks have stayed the same. I think two fell off and two have been added from yesterday or from last week. I think Inte was one. Especially now with like Suicune being hyped more, it's not doesn't look as well. I think we only had four last week. That's what it was. We only had four last week. Did we only have four decks last week? I can look real quick. I think we only had four decks last week. So this week we're gonna do five. Yeah, we had top four decks because whatever. Yeah, so we took away one and we added two. So there we go. Now I haven't tested as much as I did last week. So this is just all theory. But if I was testing, these are the decks I would test. What I think about them and stuff like that. I don't know the order of what I would play them in, and while I talk about each one, it would make more sense. So first off, we have Dark Urshifu. We talked about this last week. We actually played this for Friday. I still think it's really, really solid. Especially right now with Arceus decks or Arceus decks not playing Dunsparce. I think this is a really, really good deck to play. Because Urshifu got Gale Thrust, you got G-Max Trap Flow, right? You're doing 150. With the band, you're doing 180. That's pretty nice. Moltres V has now Overburn, which can do 220 thanks to the band. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. Moltres can take some big knockouts now. I like the split of the Articuno and the Luminion. I don't know if we need the three energy switches. This is the only thing I was thinking about contemplating changing is the three energy switches. Just because the idea is not to G-Max Rapid Flow every single turn now. But I think with the decrease of Mew that is coming into next or this tomorrow for Liverpool, I think Urshifu is even in a better place. And you could probably justify cutting like a second Moltres V as well, just like going down to two, maybe like a second two energy searches and add like two more consistency cards. I'm not 100% sure what they would be. It could be like a fourth Marnie maybe. Maybe like another switch out or something, because I really do think like Gale Thrust will like take you there. I think it will like get you really far and take some knockouts and stuff like that. I do think we'll see an increase of Arceus this weekend. And also, if people follow the pattern of last week where we see Gengar and stuff like that, then this deck becomes really good. Now the problem is, will people follow the pattern or will people try to counter that? That is the big question. I don't know. It's hard to say always when you go to tournaments, but that's just always my thought. If you want to counter last week, this deck is it. This is where it's at. I think Urshifu, it does beat everything. I was listening to Trash Lunch, and I agree with what Britt said. Britt said that Urshifu it beats everything, right? It beats everything but Mew, right? So like even with the Moltres, you like 100% don't beat Mew, but I think it really is helpful. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Will Urshifu come out of the out of the darkness and take some big knockouts and big swings and stuff like that? That's what I'm really looking forward to. But I think this deck is still great. I know a lot of people don't have hype or like that much potential behind it, but I think it's really good. Another deck that's really interesting is going to be Jolteon. Jolteon I think it surprised people, right? I think people are like, oh, Jolteon, Manaphy, it's not a thing. But that makes it where Jolteon was not played as much, right? Now, this list is actually the top 8 list about Andre Chisholm. I haven't played Jolteon in a good minute, so I'm not going to make any changes. I'll talk about some stuff that I would maybe include, right? But Jolteon is just a good, max Thunder Rumble. It is 100 to the bench. You have cards like, Elemental Badge, so you'll need 1 energy. And I think, consistency is key. This deck did very well all throughout the last set. Manaphy came into light, and people were like, this deck's not good anymore. It's not good. But Andre said, you know what? I'm not scared. I'm gonna take it down the competition. We actually have his match results. Lost to Arceus, Flygon, Beedrill, Urshifu, which is a given. And I think that's going to be one of the issues with Jolteon coming this week. Not so much Manaphy. I don't think Manaphy is still going to be played as much anymore. I think it's going to be more of, are you nervous about the fighting weakness, right? Will more fighting weak cards come out? Will you see like the Sandaconda deck come out? Will you see more Flygons? Will Urshifu make a reappearance? Will we see Single Strike Urshifu come back? I don't think Single Strike Urshifu is in a good spot. I know it did well. The Gengar variant did, but we can maybe see it come out of the light and like start doing some competitions, but we'll see. That one I'm not too hyped about, but the other three I think are really good decks, right? The Flyos Anaconda thing, the Urshifu thing, and even like just like maybe like a Stone Journer deck could come out and like just win the competition too. They just played against Arceus. So that makes Jolteon a little bit scary to play, but I think like consistency is key. This deck is good. It's fast. It's strong. It went 1-1 with Arceus. Barrel, Gengar, Mew. Unfortunately, went 1-1-1. Gengar 2-1-1. Gengar 3-1-1. Oh no, hold on. Those are his full match results. Sorry. Wait, hold on. Win, loss. 0-1. Okay, no, he has his. Oh, this is how he played. Oh, I thought this was like everything he played against. Sorry. So lost to Beedrill, beat Arceus, tied Mew, beat Gengar, beat Malamar, beat Arceus, beat Mew, lost to Mew, beat Arceus, beat Malamar, and I did Gengar to Bubble Cut, unfortunately. So I did get the 32 points, but with Bubble. But yo, if Mew's still a thing, and I think Mew will definitely still be a thing next week or tomorrow. I keep saying next week, but today's Thursday, so it means this video is Friday, which means Saturday is tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, went 2 against Arceus and only lost to went 2-1 against Arceus, lost to the Urshifu build, beat 2 of the Arceus Gengars, beat the Arceus with the Moltres Zapdos thing, so he actually that deck down too. So yeah, the deck is still like it might be under the radar, but I think it's still good. One card you might want to include is like Toe Scrapper. Maybe I don't know. It seems like the Arceus matchup is so good anyway that you don't have to worry about like anything weird like Big Charmers or stuff like that. But I also think that Arceus decks might evolve more too. We might see more Arceus playing more Chern Care. A lot of the Arceus decks didn't play Chern Care. They're more like, I want to take down Mew decks, right? They want to beat the Mew decks, want to beat them. And so they really play Healy because they didn't think they would survive and stuff like that. So they were just trying to counter the Mew decks. But now if we're in an Arceus mirror match, Chern Care becomes really, really good. So we'll see if that plays a factor too. I also like the double Cheryl. I know some lists play one, so that's really cool. Path post Marnie is like key. That's the thing. Path post Marnie and is key. So Jolteon, I think is definitely on my radar if I was going to this weekend. Like I said, I don't think Manaphy will be enough. Like I don't think it will be played at all. It's just, are you scared of the fighting? And will RC's deck start to include Chainer's Care, or will we just see a repeat of like last week? Then Jolteon does fine. Malamar. So we had an interview with Gabe yesterday. If you missed it, go check it out. We talked about Malamar. Now, this is probably the bottom of my tier list, number 5, but Gabe made a lot of good points about this deck and how strong it is. You got cards like Brawly, be able to search for 3 basic Rapid Strike Pokemon, put them on your bench turn 1, you're going second. You now have this really consistent deck with like Drizzles and Inteleon and stuff like that to find the pieces you need. Now you have Cynthia's Ambition. You can draw up to 8 cards in your hand instead of using the Bruno. And so you can manipulate your hand, use Cynthia's, draw to have 8, and then use cards like Drizzle and Inteleon and get the last couple pieces you need to take a knockout. So that's really cool. I think the deck is kind of underrated, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. If I were to take a pick of what Tord is going to play, it's going to be this deck. I know Tord played Malamar before in a tournament, so I imagine we will see Tord play it again. He'll probably play like a 4th Drizzle. I don't know. I got 4th Drizzle somehow. I don't know. Maybe cut the boss for a 4th Drizzle. Even Gabe says, "Hey, you gotta play the boss." So I think it's worth. I'll play the boss. I'd play his same exact list. I'd play 100% play this list. I would test it out, play test it, and just go from there. I think it does. He said it takes down everything in the competition. So yeah, try it out. I think his like biggest thing was like he got unlucky against Gengar. Is what it sounded like. So. Yeah, I think it's good. Test the deck out. Have some fun. I think Malamar is super underrated, and hopefully we'll see a bigger play and come in tomorrow. But now we've got 2 more decks. The big 2, Mew and Arceus. I think these are still the biggest 2 decks, the best 2 decks in the format. And the Mew deck I'm about to show you is totally different from last week, and it is going to be this Mew. It's going to be Mew with a Galarian Zapdos V. Now, before you click away and go, Josh doesn't know what he's talking about, there was a tournament for the Gold Arceus V-Star in P-E-K-E Peke. I don't know how to say that player's name. I apologize. They're from Japan. They went 10-1-1 with this list. Yes, 10-1-1. They beat Gengar. They beat Mew. They beat Arceus Flygon. They beat Eternatus. They unfortunately would lose to Umbreon Houndoom. They would beat Ice Rider. They would tie with the Mew. They'd have a bye. Beat Arceus. Beat the person they lost to, right? They lost to the Umbreon Houndoom. They beat them, and they beat Mew in the final. So this list is crazy. It's really, really cool. And there's two big things here. The first one is going to be Tower of Darkness. Tower of Darkness says once during each player's turn, the player may draw 2 cards in order to use this effect. That player must discard a single strike card from their hand. You remember thinking, Josh, what single strike card are you discarding? These are fusion strike cards. Well, you discard the Tower of Darkness. If you do all your stuff, you draw a million cards, you're doing, the Genesect thing, you're, using the fusion strike system, you're drawing a million cards, and then you drop the Tower of Darkness, use Tower of Darkness, draw 2 more cards. Not only do you have 5 outs to City, right? I forget what it's called for a second. Frozen City. I always call it Frozen City, but it's not. It's not Frozen. Path to the Peak. You have 5 outs to beat Path to the Peak now with this inclusion, and you can draw more because you can discard other Tower of Darkness to draw more cards. So that's fantastic. And on top of that, you have cards like Glaring Zapdos V. Thunder's Kick does 170. Weakness 340. Yeah, come to me, Gengar. We'll one-shot you. And I imagine that's what happened. Like, you just one-shot, you just, hit knockouts. Like, you just take knockouts on the dark Pokemon. And that is a really, really cool tech. You might be thinking, it's kind of weird. It kind of messes up your Genesect, but that's fine. If you use this card and takes 2 knockouts and takes 4 price cards, then Mew just takes the last. You're golden. You're golden. It's such a good idea. I love this so much. Now, unfortunately, Fighting Energy doesn't really work well with Mew. Like, you need double Psychic or something. So, you still are very Special Energy reliant, which is kind of scary. You do play the 4 Fusion Strike system, stuff like that. You can get back to Fighting Energy because you can, Fusion Energy plus Fighting and use, Melodious Echo. Or Technoblast, so that's pretty cool because you just need the cross fusion these 2 of any time, so you copy in your bench. So that's pretty neat. Is this just choose one of your bench Fusion Strike Pokemon attack and use it as assist tag? Fusion Strike Pokemon, so you can't copy them. That'd be busted, right? If you copy any Pokemon on the bench, there's limitations to Fusion Strike. But yeah, outside of that, it's a pretty standard Mew deck. Except it plays Zapdos, you play Tower of Darkness. It didn't play the Rotom Phones, which was the big thing that I saw. It didn't play Rotom Phones. And it doesn't play the 3 DTE. And that's how they fit the space in there. So, and it plays more than 2 stadiums that we saw in Australia. And I think something like this is what's going to take Mew to the next level. I like this deck a lot. If I was playing Mew, this would be the variant I would be playing right now. Just because you have the Arceus answers that you need. And this guy is can at least take maybe 2 knockouts. It realistically will take probably just 1, just because it's 200 HP, so you still get knocked out by Arceus, but I think you're still okay. I mean, you can still go Mew knockout, and then Galarian Zapdos knockout, and then they either have to knock out a Mew or the Zapdos, but whatever one they take a knockout, you're golden. So that's cool. It's another backup attacker too in the Arceus matchups, so something to think about. But yeah, try this list out. Let me know what you think. I think it's probably one of the coolest Mew decks. Will we see Mew evolve coming into this weekend? I think so. I think Mew will definitely take shape and change going to this weekend. I'm excited to see what the Europeans do with Mew. Now, last up, it's going to be Water Arceus. I still think this deck is really good. And this list was actually powered by Xander, right? Yes, Xander's list. Had to make sure. I was Xander pair. Xander and Isaiah Bradner both played this list, got 7th and 17th with this. Now, this deck did include a really interesting thing. We did play the Atelion line, which we talked about before, the Arceus, which is good. So it's just this really consistent Arceus Atelion deck, right? But now we play a 1-1 Bibarel line. Bibarel is going to let you draw to have 5 cards in your hand. And I didn't watch the top 8 match with Xander, and I don't know if he had any matches outside of that. If he did, I'm going to watch and make sure. But I want to see how the Bibarel works. Was it obviously it did somewhat well. He made top 8 with it, but it was not do you want to cut this? Do you want to keep it? Because, like I said earlier, with Arceus doing so well, will we see an increase in fighting? And if so, do you want to Dunsparce something? Maybe cut the Bibarel and Bidoof? I don't know. I couldn't answer that question. That's just one change I was thinking about top of my head. But I do like the addition of Zigzagoon in this deck. Now you're thinking, okay, what's the math on this? Well, let's say you're playing against a Mew deck, right? And you're playing against Mew, and they have a Genesect. Genesect's 190 HP, right? 190 HP, Arceus is 200. You're knocking him out, right? But you play DTE, so now you're taking 20 less damage, so they have 180 damage. So what can you do? Well, you can ping him with Zigzagoon and take a knockout. And that's a pretty cool thing. I like that a lot. It can surprise him out of nowhere. You can swing for 180, leave the Genesect in the active spot, and go, yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. You have to get the Genesect out of the active spot, and you got to knock him out Arceus. If you can't do that, then I can drop a Zigzagoon next turn and take a knockout. Or I can like boss around it, ping another one or something, and the Zigzagoon come out of nowhere. There's probably more math behind it, but I know Genesect is probably the biggest one that I could think of top of my head. But outside of the Arceus, we have the Chainer's Care. Like I said before, I imagine we will see more Chainer's Care, probably more Big Charms, right? Going to make these Arceus huge. They're already at 280 with Big Charm 310. That's a lot of HP. 3 paths at peak. We want to take down those Mew decks. Do you want to play Collapse Stadium? I don't know. I don't think. So that'd be interesting to see. But I do like that. I like the Zigzagoon. And Crobat's very interesting too. It could be another space you could put Dunsparce. But the added consistency of Crobat, you're not going to lift stuff because you're playing Crobat, you're playing Bibarel, you're playing Drizzle, you're playing Inteleon, and you have the Starburst. So it's pretty cool. I like that a lot. And also, one thing you could maybe do is play Collapse Stadiums over Path to the Peak because we saw how strong Collapse Stadium was in Drew's deck. And one thing that you could do with this deck too, with Collapse, and Drew even talked about this in his interview with someone's PC, is you can retreat like an Arceus V-Star or something that's heavily damaged, Collapse, knock it out, get that damage off the field, and then you're good to go. So that's pretty cool. But one thing that we have not really seen in the other Arceus decks, if you're looking through the list right now, and that's going to be Sydney. Sydney says your opponent reveals their hand, discard up to 2 of any combination of tool cards, special energy cards, and stadium cards from it. So this is a very spicy, one of, right? If you know your opponent has a big hand, you're playing against Mew or something, you can just Sydney them, discard their stadium card, discard their special energy, and pretty much lock them, drop Path to the Peak, and then you're good to go. If there's a situation like they did it Rotom Phone beforehand, you can you have Peak in the hand, you get Sydney first, see what's in their hand, discard their stadium card, then Peak them, and then you're golden. So that's a really cool thing that you could do with this deck. We might see more Sydneys. We might see more Chainer's Care. I do like there's a Pal Pad in here to get back to the supporter cards. Very, very spicy. One Choice Belt as well to do 30 more damage. I don't know the logistics on top of my head right now. Obviously, I haven't played this deck that much. I've only played it beforehand. And even then, it was just a couple games testing for Salt Lake City. But yeah, I still think the deck's really, really good. I think it's really strong. I think you should include a Dunsparce in this somehow. I don't know how much Dunsparce actually help out though. That's the only scary thing because against Urshifu VMAX, so just ping it down and ping a Drizzle or something, take 2 prize cards. So that's kind of unfortunate. Now you knock on an Arceus, knock on an Arceus. Is it worth it? Maybe. I don't know. So yeah, but those are my list. Those are top 5 decks if I was going to test this weekend. If I was testing this weekend, it'd be the Dark Urshifu, be Jolteon, be Malamar, be Mew, and be what Arceus. Some of the decks that you could think about, Suicune, right? But I don't know if anything from this week just counter Suicune. I would be more scared that people are going to play more Chainer's Care. So if your Suicunes will take knockouts, that's a bad thing, right? Gengar, once again, I don't think Mew's going to be as big as it was in Salt Lake City. And I imagine we will see an increase of fighting decks. So I would personally be scared to play a Gengar variant. That's what we talked about. Jolteon, like fighting is kind of scary, right? Trying to see what else got top 8 or top cut or did well that I might be scared of. So we talked about that. Arceus, I think, don't get me wrong, like the Arceus Moltres list got 4th and 5th, and you had the Sandaconda deck in 9th. If I was going to play any other Arceus outside of Jolteon, it would definitely be the Flygon Sandaconda build. Not the Moltres build, just because like I don't think Mew is going to be as big. I could be 100% wrong, of course. Malamar, we talked about that deck. I think that his deck is good. There was a Atelion, like a Dark Atelion box, but once again, I think if you're going to play some kind of like dark box this week, you need to play a Wheezing variant. Most of these lists I talk about today are very, very ability heavy. Like even like Arceus, like you got the Atelion and stuff like that. So that could be somewhat bad. I think that's still a bad matchup though. Mew, like Weezing's good against that. Malamar, Weezing's good against that. Jolteon doesn't really matter too much because maybe because you shut down their Atelions and they could have bad hand. Dark Urshifu probably just lose if you play this deck. If you play Weezing against Dark Urshifu, I don't know. Weezing wasn't anywhere, so I'm just trying to think out loud. Mew Genesect. There was a lot of Mew Genesect that didn't do well. There was a Arceus Urshifu Moltres that went 41st. Don't know what happened there. And there was one that got 49th. Ooh, there was 2 Arceus Urshifu Moltres decks. We don't have the list, unfortunately, so it's not cool. Duraludon, don't play that this weekend. It didn't do well. I think it's like the highest placement. I mean, it's still got day 2. It looks like there's 2 in cut for day 2. There's one that got 45th place and one that got 71st place. But I think what we learned is even Mew could beat Duraludon. I mean, they only play special energies, so that's very scary. But it's interesting because like most of the bottom decks are all Arceus, or not Arceus, all Mew Genesects. So, and as you go up, you see more Arceus and stuff like that. So in the end, Arceus was definitely like the bigger deck to win, like percent wise. But I think it's because they were all countering Mew. So it's gonna be this weird meta now, where like, do you counter Mew? Do you counter last week decks? I don't know. I just know if I was playing these 1-5, I'd be testing these decks right now. So hopefully you learned something new. If you have any feedback, let me know. Next week maybe we'll start regular videos again. We'll see. I do have some spicy decks I want to try out that I've seen. So yeah, we'll see. But guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something new. Alrighty, bye.